Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Creative Hustle. This is Jane, and I'm joined here today by my two co-hosts, Kristen Brown and Caitlin Belfontaine. Today on the Creative Hustle, I think we're just going to kind of chat about our week.
Don't worry if we're not on camera.
Shoot the shit.
Yeah, just sorry.
Just stood right in front of the back. Yeah.
Kristen, I'm uncomfortable.
Okay, should I just start that over?
No.
Okay, guys, sorry. We are actually, for the first time ever, filming this podcast, and it's taking a few of us a little bit of time to adjust, and Caitlin just stood up in front of one of the cameras blocking Jane, but that's okay.
Get out of my shot.
I'm sorry. I have to be in every shot.
We actually decided today that Caitlin is like the Kris Jenner, like the momager of us.
I'm the momager.
Because she just like gives us, little helpful tips.
She's our biggest cheerleader. She will stand behind our computers and watch what we're doing and
cheer
say,
you on.
Yeah, that looks
but
great.
Most importantly, she gets you paid.
Yeah, she gets us
totally.
jobs. Thank you for helping.
We don't
pay
give
my
her
bills.
a 10% or 10%
Yeah.
yet, but
No.
When you guys blow up,
Yeah.
you better believe
We'll
I'm coming
remember
for my
ya.
commissions.
Oh my
Don't
God.
forget.
Yeah, not gonna happen, but okay. Anyway, so I guess, how's your guys' week going? What's up? What's new?
Like this week, I feel like my brain exploded.
Why?
I'm tired. It's Friday. I'm sorry. I shouldn't complain. But I'm tired. It was a really busy week. 2 weeks ago, I took a vacation, and Andrew and I went to California for 12 days. And, I just don't think entrepreneurs can go away for 12 days.
I think they can.
Well, I worked every day while I was away.
Oh, yeah,
So
that sucks.
I think that before I went away, the day before I went away, I had a meeting with my friend Jocelyn Lightfoot from Lightfoot and Wolfville, and she had just gotten back from a 2-week vacation down south. And she said to me, yep, Mike and I got up every single day and we put in 4 hours of work, because when you own a business, you just truly cannot ever check out.
Totally. I think that's the good side of having a partnership is I just went away to Mexico for a week, and I knew Jane was holding
And I
it down.
sat here and slaved
Held
away.
it down.
No big deal. Just kidding.
Hey, no, truly, that is the beauty of having a business partner.
And even though I knew we didn't have that much to do, I knew that if an emergency were to happen, God forbid, that Jane would take care of it.
Yeah.
And that's nice.
And it was kind of funny because I just feel like Kristen and I depend on each other so much that Hannah, one of Caitlin's planners, she sent us an email asking if so it was a popular date, but it was for a shorter period of filming time, so if you could do it cheaper or something. And I just was like, oh my God, I wish Kristen was here.
I can't
so I
answer
could,
this without her.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, but I did. I answered it without her. I put on my big girl
Because you know what I
pants.
would have said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like what you would have said is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So it worked out. But it's just that whole security blanket kind of thing.
Totally. So what else is going on in your week?
Yeah, so this week, the last 2 weeks have been I don't know about you guys, but 2020 inquiries are blowing up.
We're starting to get some. We're actually, I think, 3 or 4 people booked.
I
for
know. I think
2020.
I have almost 10 events booked for 2020 already,
God.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
And they're still coming in. It feels like everybody that I'm meeting with these days are getting married in 2020, which is awesome, because 2019 for me is another growth year, and I really want 2020 to be a bang year. I want to have a lot of work on the books for 2020. But so yeah, it's been a busy week of inquiries and meeting with clients for the first time, getting to know them, explaining our services. In that, I think today's discussion topic will be really interesting, because I had a really interesting experience with one of my inquiries, and I want to go into it with you guys in greater detail. Do you want to do that now, or do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, long story short, we have an ideal client, and I think that we should do a podcast completely on defining your ideal client, because it's been something that's been very, very beneficial to us in our business, is defining who this ideal client is.
We did do an episode that was called Defining
Did
Your
we?
Ideal Client.
Sorry.
But
Scroll
I
back
think
through.
we could go into more detail. I think we just scratched the surface, and
Yeah.
there's so much more that goes into finding that ideal client. client.
Yeah, there's like an entire like sort of process that goes into it, and I'd be happy to share, some of the ways that we got to define an art as a client. Anyways, off on that tangent. Essentially, our ideal client one day within the last 2 weeks, walked through the door, sat down, had an amazing meeting with her, totally felt a connection, thought, this is, I'm going to sign this client. They're going to be our next wedding couple. Great wedding location, a place that we hadn't been before, to a place that we'd love to travel, without going into too much detail, just like an event that I was super hyped to hopefully get the opportunity to work on. And then over the weekend, I received an email stating that the price that I had quoted was just outside of their budget, and unfortunately, they weren't going to make it work. So I put on my big girl pants, and with some support from you guys, I wrote her back and I said, well, I'd be curious to know what you do have in your budget to allot to wedding planning, because I'm really still keen on your wedding, and I'd be interested to see if maybe one of our lesser services might be a good fit for you.
And once you find that ideal client, you don't want to let them go.
I don't want to let her go. No,
Yeah.
Do what you can to keep them.
I was willing to do what I could to keep them. So I had, I kind of felt good about myself and said like, okay, this is, I'm really pushing for this, and I'm in a tasteful way trying to get this business. And shortly after, I received the email back stating that while they super appreciated my offer and willingness to work within their budget, they were able to secure another coordinator for, I'm not kidding you, 1/4 of my price. 1/4 of the price. And I'm not going to go into like the exact numbers because I'm not going to call anyone out. But, it was kind of a devastating blow to me on so many levels, because the first level, there is no way that I could price match. Like, there's just absolutely no way that if I price matched, I would be able to confidently assign one of my team members to work on the wedding. I wouldn't pay them. I wouldn't be able to pay them. I wouldn't, if I was signing clients at that price point, I wouldn't be able to keep the lights on in this place. And I would be so undervaluing my services and, all of the experience and knowledge that we bring to our couples that do hire us. But then, so I quickly got over myself, like, boo-boo, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, okay, she's moving on to someone new. But then I started thinking about that poor person that they did end up hiring left so much money on the table, like pricing themselves at the price that they did. They were totally undervaluing themselves as a wedding and event coordinator. I know, I've done my research. I know what the going rate of event coordination is in the Atlantic provinces. And I know that the value of this service is at least 3 times, if not 4 times as our price was.
Right. And not to mention that not only are they undervaluing themselves, they're undervaluing other wedding planners, the industry.
Yep.
And that's the most frustrating thing.
Because then it makes all the other wedding planners look like they just charge ridiculous
Exactly.
prices.
Totally.
But when everyone charges around the same, it's
or
all
higher.
Yeah, it all brings like value.
Exactly.
Totally.
It brings value to our services, to our industry. It makes customers understand why we're charging the price that we are. I would never be able to compete with that price, but also I know in the long run, this planner is, if they continuously sell this service at that rate, they're never going to be able to succeed. They're never going to grow. They're never going to be able to take their business to the next level.
If you're undervaluing your service, you're undervaluing the industry. That might just be my opinion.
No, it's not. Because I've talked to so many people over the course of like our years in that frustration, like
the people who take this business as a full-time Monday to Friday business, who, took the leap of faith really into their business and started a full-time business in the wedding industry. It's very frustrating. And like, we see it all the time. People on, you'll see it often on Facebook wedding resource pages or whatever.
Yes.
So that place is, it's helpful, but it's a hub for budget weddings.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. We've been lucky.
Yeah, we've gotten some good weddings
right.
out there. But a lot of the time there will be people like looking for a photographer for $500 or less. Or,
and then there's 10 photographers
who are
commenting,
saying this.
I can do it. I can send you my packages. Inquire
for
with
10
me.
hours.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating. And one thing that irks me to my core is people saying, looking for reasonably priced.
like
What does reasonably
What does
priced
it mean?
to you?
What does it look like? Reasonably priced, rather, to me, looks like, we will give you 8 hours of our time at, we'll take 10% off. Reasonably priced.
That's reasonably priced.
And that's like us cutting ourselves short.
It
is
totally
not
is. I mean,
ideal.
I remember back in the day, long before you guys started your business, there was a videography service that literally charged $500. $500 for two
shooting and
videographers
editing?
for shooting and editing and
two
delivering a wedding
videographers.
video, and 2 videographers. Can
I'd
you
be going to the
believe
sales
it?
section at Sobeys.
Yeah, literally.
Or not
Seriously.
going at all.
no, I would be like, Mom, can you like
Right?
pay my phone bill, please?
Yeah.
Seriously, like I don't know how anyone could ever support themselves on that amount. I mean, and that's the struggle in this industry, is that there's so many people who this is just their side hustle.
I was
This
just gonna
is
say-
just their part-time gig.
Yeah, it's definitely the people who are just doing it part-time who are charging
It is.
that.
For sure.
Because the people like us who do it full-time, there's no way.
We need to
But still,
pay our bills.
as
Yeah.
part-time, side hustles, they still could be charging
They
more.
still should charge.
They could be
Don't
right
leave
below
the money on the table.
Yeah.
They could be right below our price
Yes.
point. Listen, I don't do this full time. I do it. It's as a side gig. I'd be happy to do it for this price, which is still lower than my competitors.
But do you think they know that it's so low?
They have to.
How can you not?
I mean, okay, like let's face it, when businesses start out, they can't charge an arm and a
No,
leg for their
yeah.
services. But at the same time, they should at least be charging for the actual time spent on the project.
Yeah.
So we charge time spent on the project and a little bit more because we're running a business.
Yeah. So, but I feel like if I wasn't in the wedding industry and I heard, let's use photography as an example, that if I heard that a photographer was like around $6,000, I would be mind blown. Now, us being in
course.
the industry,
Yeah.
I'm like, totally makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, like the amount of work and effort that those people put into their work, like definitely worth it.
Yeah.
But you not being in the industry, it's just like, are you kidding me?
And you have to
Seriously.
question too, what type of work are you getting for such a low price?
Well, that's
like,
yeah.
do you
on
know
the
what
consumer,
I mean?
exactly.
What is this customer that you almost had, your almost ideal client? What type of service is she going to
Well,
get?
that's just it.
And it's just my wedding day. Taking a leap of faith on my wedding day is something I would not be willing to
Yeah.
risk.
No. So, Kristen, why don't you tell us what happened to us? Because we were
similar
actually
situation.
the people
Yeah.
on the other end.
So this isn't wedding industry related, but Jane and I, in the winter, we do corporate videography, and we were approached to give a proposal for a company in the city here, and we were so worried about it because we price weddings. We know people are on budgets and how much that means to them. So
This was a government video.
a government video, and government has money. And yeah, so we did up the proposal, and I remember at one point we had like throwing numbers out there, like 4,500, and Jane said, let's make it 4,000 because it sounds better.
No, I think it was like we had it like 5, and I wanted to make it. It was
A
like
little
a little
lower.
over, yeah. And I was just like, just because
a more appealing number
Yeah,
is
be-
what we said.
because compared to wedding videography,
Mm-hmm.
which we should not have done, but because who wants to spend so much money on videography
Totally.
on their wedding? You know what I
So
mean?
Sure.
we were
Yeah.
sitting with the client, and they had mentioned that they reached out to other people, and the quotes were as high as like $20,000, $30,000, and we just sat there and thought to ourselves, what a lesson that we just learned. We could have charged more and
could have
still
charged-
got the job.
Yep. Double and still got the job,
Yeah.
probably.
Oh,
yeah.
for sure, we
So-
still would have got the job.
Yeah.
And then to go a step further, she had mentioned that her and her superior almost didn't choose us because we were so cheap,
Yep.
and they were like,
They were
well,
worried.
if
Yeah.
they're that cheap,
What's
is the product going to be good? And when we sent them the first draft of the video, they were shook
Yeah.
because it was so good, and they were like, why are they only charging this amount of money?
amazing.
So, Jane and I could have been down south right now.
So you left money on the table.
We did. Like, we were on the
Yeah.
other end.
we undervalued
Exactly.
ourselves, and that was like the biggest lesson I think that we learned this year was like, why are we doing this? And then last week we sent off a quote that was accepted, and it was double what we typically would have charged.
Yeah, so sending off that one, I literally, because the first one where we were undervaluing ourselves, I was so nervous. Like, sometimes Kristen and I do this little thing before we send off a quote. We're just like, oh, please, dear Lord.
And
like,
tripods we
please
trust.
give
yeah,
us
in
this.
tripods we trust. Like, let them give us money. Anyways, but this one, I was just like, no, like, just send it. I don't even care. Like, that's what we're worth. If they take it or leave it, and they took it. So,
and I think, go team. I think what I've learned, is if you don't get the job, or if you're not hearing back right away, you can always go back and you can always ask. And I was always before too afraid to ask. So I wasn't learning. This is honestly, I know that there's people who are undercutting the market out there, but this was like my first true, specific example of just how deep the market's being undercut out there. So just by going back and asking.
So what do you think, like, going back and asking what?
So when she said that they were going to go another way, I went back and said, what is your budget? How can we make something work? And that's how I got the very tangible information that I needed to now, perhaps I'm going to, in my sales meetings, start explaining to people why we're priced the way that we're priced. And perhaps they're able to find people a quarter, a third, or a half the cost that we are, but here's the reason why we're worth this price.
Right. So how many people are on site, what they're doing behind the scenes that you might not even realize.
Our education, our experience, what we've seen, what we've done. I think it's going to tailor my approach in almost educating my potential clients as to why they should be truly considering investing in someone who does have a higher price point than, some of the others that they're finding in the industry. And then before I went away, I submitted a proposal to plan a corporate event that's coming up this November. And while I was away, I took a call from the person who's the deciding factor of the event. And she straight up told me, she said, we really loved your proposal. We're very keen to work with you and your company, but I want to be honest, your quote came in about $10,000 higher than your next competitor. And I said, you know what? I appreciate that. Let me take a minute and I'll figure out how I can, change up the proposal, perhaps look at some sponsorship, maybe come up with an alternate option to get me closer to my competitor so that you are more inclined to go ahead with us.
You still want that job.
I still want the job. Yeah, exactly. I'm still willing to do the work, even if I do have to come down. I'll make some tweaks on, perhaps the number of hours that we're working on the job, or perhaps, some of the additional services that I originally planned to propose. But just asking and finding out, what is the budget? Why are you opting not to hire us? Or, why am I not hearing back from you? I think knowledge is power, and will just help us book that many more events.
For sure. And I think too, like, it's so smart to outline to your clients if they ask. I mean, Jane and I preach like our price is our price, but when it's a deciding factor, then we will tell them. But for us in that corporate situation specifically, I think like now what we're charging is what we're actually valued at.
Yeah.
And now I don't feel as nervous.
No. So yes, we're charging double for corporate, but at the same time, it's actually what we're worth.
I feel so confident in my price that, it's really, for me, it's like, here's what it is, here's what I'm worth, and here's why.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah, I'm truly able to like justify exactly why we charge what we charge. Now, that's not to say that I'm not willing to look at difference of services, and I'm not willing to propose smaller packages if that doesn't fit within your budget, but I feel so confident that the price that I'm quoting to all of our events that I'm bidding on is exactly what our worth is in this market.
For sure. And I think for people out there who, are undervaluing themselves, or questioning, am I undervaluing myself? Reach out to people. Reach out to Caitlin. Reach out to your fellow photographers or caterers.
If you are this event coordinator and you think that you might be this person that I'm talking about, I don't know who this person is.
She'll be honest with
and
you.
you're listening to this podcast, email me. Email me tomorrow, and I want to have a candid conversation with you about why you need to triple your prices.
And I feel like if you think you're undervaluing yourself,
You probably
You
are.
are. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, you were one of the biggest champions in our ear for price yourselves higher.
Yeah,
Price
double
yourselves
your
higher.
prices.
But, I know people think that they will get the client because they're on a lower end. That is the worst thing you could do to yourself and your business, is to preach that, we're going to do it, but at an affordable price. Okay, well, an affordable price for you means this is always going to be a side hustle. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, not sorry.
So what else? What happened in your guys' business this week?
Well, my week, you guys all know
We all know
what
what happened in your week.
And you'll see it on the vlog.
Because I can't stop talking about it. But
Doesn't it feel good?
No, it feels
Aren't
so
you like
good.
1,000,000 pounds lighter right now?
I am so skinny right now because
You are,
of this.
Jane, you are looking skinny today.
Do you know why I'm looking skinny?
Maybe because you lost all the email weights.
I lost all the emails out of my inbox and I feel so good. So a few episodes back, Caitlin told us that we should always have our inbox at email 0.
Inbox zero.
Yeah, thanks
Darling.
Momager. Thanks Chris Jenner. Anyway, so we actually took that advice and I spent about 3 days because Chris and I just celebrated our 3 years.
Congrats, by the way. 3 years.
Thank you.
You're
We're
3
old.
years
Yeah.
old.
So I went through basically 3 years of emails, organized it all. So I made 2019 clients, 2018 clients, put all the stuff in, all our corporate clients, made little folders, dragged it all in. Our inbox is at 0. And it just feels so good. And I really recommend this to anyone because a big thing that I noticed is, so say for our 2019 inquiries. So I made a little folder for all of our 2019 inquiries and I realized how many people we've sent our packages to who haven't responded.
Who haven't booked you.
Yeah, so I think we need to follow up with them
Right.
and see
Absolutely
what's
do.
up.
And we did for the longest time. We would keep a spreadsheet, which keep a spreadsheet of, who's messaging you, who's inquiring, where they heard from you or heard of you from rather. And we would follow up, but we got busy.
Yeah, and then we just stopped doing that.
And not doing it means we've probably lost clients.
Definitely.
You've
Yeah.
left money on the table.
Yep. So
my
Moral
motto
of
of
this
2019.
podcast, don't leave money on
Don't
the
leave
table.
money on the table.
So we're recording this on a Friday. You guys hopefully are listening to this on a Monday. Happy Monday. So I think on Monday or Tuesday, just sometime in the week, we should go through that 2019 inquiries, see everyone, and there's a lot who haven't responded to us.
Yeah, we'll
Follow up
go
with
up to
everyone.
Follow
date.
back.
And it's also really good for market research.
Of course.
Where did they find out about us? Okay, if it's Instagram, well, we best be getting on our Instagram
back on
game.
that
Yeah.
gram.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, so what did you guys think about Instagram blackout 2019?
I didn't notice it.
I know. I thought it was slow, and then I was
I thought
just-
I thought it was my phone because it's always my phone. But
Yeah, I didn't know that it was down. I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, Instagram's kind of annoying today.
How
but
about you?
I totally noticed it because
Yeah.
I just use Instagram to find things.
Yeah.
So whenever I want to, when I get a new inquiry, you better believe I'm looking that person up. This week we were doing interviews. Tip number 537, if you don't ever take anything else from this podcast, take it that you better be cleaning that Instagram account up if you're applying for jobs. The number
time.
one thing, even before I read your resume, your name lands in my inbox and you're applying for a job,
hit private if you don't want to
put
clean
it on
up.
private.
Yeah.
If you got, if you've got some thoughty things out there, girl, power to you.
Yeah.
I am all for whatever
Work
you
those
want to
bikini pics.
whatever you want to put on the gram. But if you're applying for jobs and you think that, ooh, maybe I wouldn't want a potential employer seeing a few of those things that you've got on there, just pop it on private. It's all you got to do.
And then once you're hired, wait a couple months and then you can take
Exactly.
And
really
let
get
all
in.
the gaudy photos come out.
Then let them fly. But it was really interesting to me. I've been thinking about this longer than just from this day on Wednesday, but it's interesting to me just how vulnerable all of our businesses would be if Instagram went away.
Oh my God.
Think about it. We don't own Instagram.
I know, it's so
We don't
crazy to
control
think
it.
about.
It could go
we
away
need to feel
at any
confident
time.
and okay, well, Elegant Productions, Aeronaut Productions, we have a hub via our website.
Yep.
Like, thank God. So businesses who don't have websites out there, like,
you need a website.
You need
Use
a
this
website.
Instagram Blackout as
Totally.
a learning experience that you need to have a website.
All your work has to live somewhere.
Yeah, all
At
your
minimum.
followers could be gone
Yeah.
in a second.
Just like that.
Yeah, all your feed that you've curated for years probably just gone.
So I've been talking a lot about Gary Vee lately, and if you're listening to us and you want someone inspirational, you want to know who I'm inspired by lately, it's definitely Gary Vee. You need to be multidimensional, and by multidimensional with your business, I believe that means having a website, having a blog, having a Facebook account, an Instagram account, a Pinterest account in our world is huge, having a YouTube account. You know, there are so many easy opportunities to have video content in your business.
YouTube.com/The Creative Hustle Podcast.
Subscribe.
Please subscribe
Like,
today.
comment.
And then, you know what it did? It really got me thinking about Twitter. I got on the Twitter this week.
Wow.
I'm indifferent about Twitter.
I just have nothing to say.
I feel like
on
Twitter is great for like corporate world.
It is.
For
It's B2B.
news world. Like, I scroll through Twitter just for my news.
Yes.
But are our clients on
Yes.
Twitter?
Your corporate clients, absolutely.
Our
Oh,
corporate
true.
clients,
Yes.
definitely.
True.
Oh, God.
100%. Your corporate
Can
clients
add another thing.
are
Stop.
on Twitter.
Stop,
and
Mom.
Our
Stop.
Creative Hustle podcast listeners, potential sponsors, media.
Oh my God.
On
Twitter.
And guys, I'm not like, don't feel bad. Like, it's literally 2019 and Elegant Productions is just launched a Twitter account.
We had
have
a Twitter
15
for a
followers.
minute.
Did we? I don't know.
Yeah, it didn't work out.
So, you know, there's I'm not preaching here. I have nothing to preach. But it was really, really eye-opening to me to think about it. Last thing, also a newsletter. I think a newsletter is having an email subscription is truly the only sort of platform of contacts and communication and connection with your community outside of like your client base. So having a newsletter as well.
Good to know. Nicole, our producer, will be hitting you up for this Twitter thing. But yeah, other than that, like, we've also been vlogging for the Creative Hustle, and it's been a really fun experience. We find that within our businesses, you know, we want to portray, you know, I don't know how to explain it. We want to portray the nice world of weddings and videos.
Beautiful,
and we don't
perfect.
want our wedding clients to know that we were, you know, crying last night because our email server was down. Like, we don't want you guys to know that things. But for the Creative Hustle, we want all of you guys to know, you know, what
Experience
we're
our
up
real
to.
world.
Because I feel
and-
like the Creative Hustle listeners are like our industry friends, you know what I mean? And they're like fellow entrepreneurs
and it's
who know
helpful.
the
It's
struggles.
educational.
So yeah, I think
And it just feels better when you talk about it.
I know.
You know, and I think there's so much conversation that goes on behind closed doors that should be talked about more openly because it just like makes us all so much more real and so much more
sure.
connected.
So the vlog is really, really fun. It's really great outlet for
It's
all of us.
fun.
It's so much fun. Like, we literally, you guys, take you from Monday to Friday with us to see all the crazy shit that's happening in this office and the fun stuff, the not so fun stuff.
and I think it was kind of hard for Kristen and I because we were like, okay, let's just like vlog. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect like our videos. So it took us a sec to be like, okay, the audio levels don't have to be perfect.
Exactly.
They totally
The shot
don't.
That's what vlogging
Yeah,
is.
so it's just kind of fun for us.
Totally. We're also launching a sponsorship program, so we'll keep you guys up to date with that in the next few weeks. And yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. We had a great time, so make sure you're subscribed to the Creative Hustle
Oh,
podcast.
I think you can. Okay, there's a trick, you guys. Subscribe, unsubscribe, subscribe.
Yes.
So if you guys are listeners, that will help our podcast rank higher. So if you're already subscribed, hit unsubscribe and then subscribe again. And maybe you guys, we could give them another code word.
Yeah.
So it can be the same code word.
Yeah, DM us some more. Okay, so we just launched our giveaway. We're gonna be giving it away on the 18th. We're super excited about it, and it seems like all of you guys are really excited about it too. So DM us #BoyBoss for 5 extra entries, or you could also screenshot the page that shows you're subscribed to the Creative Hustle podcast and pop it on your story and tag us. So for 5 extra entries.
So that giveaway is a 1-hour business consultation with Caitlin. Great mentorship. She mentored us. It was awesome. And a 1-minute business video for your social media from Arrow and Not Productions.
Which is huge.
Whole giveaway is valued at over $2,000, guys. So get on it.
Check it out. So yeah, thank you guys so much for
Thanks,
listening.
guys. We'll see you next week.
Happy Monday.
Bye.